That's more like it. Here we go. Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here, or you've been here before but have not subscribed yet, please do so, along with hitting that thumbs up button for me and dropping your comments. Love to hear your thoughts and feelings about anything Knicks. All right, well, the New York Knicks had an excellent bounce-back game after that demoralizing loss to the Boston Celtics. That's right. They went to Indiana, took care of business. They won 128-115 over the Pacers, who are right behind them in the standings. They have eclipsed the Milwaukee Bucks, and they have been pretty hot of late. I believe they had won 8 of the last 10. And actually, the Knicks have now won 8 of their last 10. And they are now technically the hottest team in the East. Interesting, though, only those 2 losses were against the Celtics and the Lakers in the last 10 games. So even though the Knicks have struggled to beat the elite teams right above them, they have handled the rest, and that is an important foundation to lay. And this team is not a team to take lightly at all. This team, as we know, pushed us out of the playoffs last year. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They went to the finals of the NBA Cup. They were a surprise team. They were struggling so far this year, but now Tyrese Halliburton is clicking. They were without Miles Turner last night, but we were without OG Anunoby, who is looking like he's getting closer to returning. I got highlights for you guys. I got breakdowns. Let's get to it right now. Here we go. All right, 128-115 New York Knicks, and they once had a 21-point lead. And the amazing thing about this is they did it without Jalen Brunson. Yes, he did play, but he got into foul trouble. He got off to a very rocky start in that first quarter, shooting only 1 of 7. He just wasn't the Brunson that we were used to, that we usually need, but we didn't need that tonight because everybody else stepped up in a beautiful manner. Even the bench gave us some excellent play, but no one more so than the big cat, the big bodega. Karl-Anthony Towns, 40 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. And let me tell you, he had a partner. Josh Hart came through with his first 30-point game of the season and 10 rebounds himself and 5 assists. In fact, this is like the first time in like 50 years, 60 years, I think, the Knicks had 2 players who had 30 points, a double-digit rebounds, and 5 assists in the same game. Excellent contributions from Josh Hart as well. We're going to get into breaking that down, but let's move forward here. Rick Carlisle, I love this quote. Shout out to New York basketball here. Towns was almost impossible to deal with. Lot of the plays were so quick you couldn't even get to him with double teams. Bingo. Let's keep doing that. Let's keep the defenses moving. Have them fragmented. The Knicks had 37 assists tonight. That's right. That's one of the highest of the season for them. They need to keep that ball moving, to keep the defense scrambling, and let Cat have the space to attack. That's what I loved about this game. And also his passing, man. When his passing out on the perimeter, even when he takes a couple dribbles in, once he commits past the free throw line, he rarely does pass out because he's so big, and if he's got the momentum, and if he can finally get to that free throw line, I think he feels highly confident he can finish at the rim, and that's what he was doing last night. But I loved also the way he was distributing the ball and punishing the defense, punishing them. Here we go. And the bench, as I mentioned before, the bench production went crazy last night, as New York Knicks tweeted out themselves. Deuce had 15 points, and he hit all 4 of his 3-pointers. That's a great sign. This game is a great sign of what is to come for the Knicks, what could possibly be to come for the Knicks. Because the Knicks need to be, they need to have everybody contribute at certain moments. And last night was an indication of that, and contribute at a nice high level. Look, Cam got 9 points. Landry, a Landry Shamet sighting. 11 points for him. And he played some good defense. He was finishing it around the rim in an impressive fashion. Just up and down. This team was very impressive last night, and they did it without Jalen Brunson because he got into foul trouble 3 minutes into the third quarter, picked up his 5th foul, and basically sat for the rest of the game until the very, very end when he came back in, and the Knicks had ballooned the lead to 21 points. Beautiful. Now, I got this to show you guys. We're going to get back to this. Actually, we'll talk about it right now. This shout out to DJ. This is a great tweet. This really explains a lot of what is the issue with the Knicks defense, especially the perimeter defense. This is the Knicks defensive rating versus opponent offensive rank. Against the bottom 10 teams, the Knicks have a very good defensive rating of 108.5, which is would be 8th best overall. Against the middle 10 teams, things get a little scary already. Just the middle 10 teams, they are allowing 8 more points per 100 possessions. That's 116.5, which is 25th. That's 25th worst, let's put it that way. Then against the top 10 teams, they're a 122.6, which is 27th. That's atrocious. The Knicks defense against top offenses isn't currently at a contender-worthy level. Now, let me get very specific. Drill deeper a little bit more than this. It's not just about top offenses. It's about top three-point shooting offenses. That's what the Knicks struggle with. Because, why? Well, we know. Because they give up. Actually, now the Kings are right there with them. But they have the worst defensive field goal percentage against defending the three-point shot. You can see right here. This is the three-point shot right here. They are the worst defensive team against the three-point shot. And that's why we get smoked against quality teams. Because look, who are the best three-point shooting teams? All right, here we go. Three-point shooting teams. Cleveland, number 1, 39.5. Bucks, 38.7, though we have taken care of the Bucks. Timberwolves, 38.4. Remember we lost that game to the Timberwolves? That was a tough one to lose. The Nuggets, though we have taken care of business against them, they're almost at 38% themselves. But down here is the Celtics in 10th. The top 10, they shoot 36.9%, almost 37%, but their volume is 48.1%. So their diet of shots is so high, but they also make them at a very high clip. And if we, against us, they're shooting like 50% from the three-point line. So that is a recipe for disaster against high-quality three-point shooting teams. The Knicks, as you can see, we've taken care of business against teams that are, they're good winning percentage teams. Let's look at this, the winning percentage teams. But let's see, it's fine here. Nuggets, well, that's pretty good, 37 point. Here, Lakers, 35.8%. The Rockets, 34.4%, 34.2%. I don't fear teams like this. Again, look at the Pacers, 36.7%, and we just beat them. It's the teams that are high volume, that connect at a high percentage, that are going to really be difficult for the Knicks to deal with, especially moving forward into the playoffs. So the perimeter defense has to be figured out, and this is a great example right here because the Knicks are their defense just isn't up to par, especially against teams that love to launch that three-pointer and hit it at an effective rate. All right, let's get back to, well, before we go there, we go to this. Actually, here, let me show you this. The team comparisons. Before we move on, because this is a beautiful thing to show. Second chance points, right here. Second chance points. Knicks 19-6. We were a plus 13 in second chance points. And who's that? That's Josh Hart. That's Deuce. That's Cat himself. He was fighting for loose balls. Give some shout-out credit to Precious in that respect. Even though some interesting stats to show about Precious. Mikal Bridges didn't have a great offensive game tonight, but delivered enough defensively, though there were times where he did get a little cooked. All right, let's get back to here. Yeah, I love that tweet right there. All right, here we got these stats. Let's get back to the highlights. Let's go to the highlights. All right, the game got off to a nice start for the Knicks. They built like a 7-point lead pretty early on, which was refreshing since the Knicks, actually no, it was 5-point lead. The Knicks have been getting off to a cold start. Many games were like down 7 already, 8 already, 9 already, but not in this game. The Knicks were able to get out to a little bit of a lead. They actually built a decent little lead in that first quarter, but let the Pacers crawl back into it, and the Knicks went into the second quarter leading 28-27 just by 1. See here, Jalen, and a lot of that was because Jalen Brunson struggled mightily. He played almost the entire first quarter, but only connected on 1 shot and took 7 shots. 1 of 7. Did get 2 assists there, but he definitely struggled. Only 2 points for him in that first quarter. But luckily, Karl-Anthony Towns was on the floor, and in his 8 minutes, he was 4 of 5, delivered 9 points. Precious Achiuwa started off strong in this game. He played the entire first quarter, 2 of 5, hit on both of his free throws, got 4 rebounds, even picked up an assist and a block to finish with 6 points in that first quarter. And Josh Hart was refreshing. Oh, look at that beautiful pass right there. Love it. The passing was outstanding. The Knicks had 8 assists in that first quarter. What I love about what Josh Hart did is he kind of got out of his comfort zone in that first quarter. He didn't quite wait for the game to come to him, which is the the Thibs mantra, and his approach is usually to facilitate, to help get Brunson off to a good start or Cat off to a good start, try to feed McCall or OG. He's the 5th guy out there normally when OG's out there. Not last night. Last night, he made a concerted effort to have an impact on the game offensively as well as defensively, as well as picking up the loose balls. He wanted to get some points. He racked up 5 points. He scored every single quarter, and he finished with 30. His season high 30 points for Josh Hart. Look at that. When Cat's hitting that 3, it's a beautiful thing. So the Knicks went into that second quarter. Now they started to take control of the game to a certain extent. They finished the half 68-60. Oh, it's a nice little step through. Ooh, side step. Here we go. McConnell was pretty much neutralized in this game. Usually he's a Knick killer, but tonight TJ finished in his. He only played 17 minutes, so that's a good sign when he's not on the court for us. He delivered 7 points, but he was a -11. Only took 1 3-point shot, did not hit it. He missed 3 free throws of 4. So that's nice when your opponent is missing free throws. There you go. That's Jalen Brunson connecting on nice little midi. He was 2 of 3 in his near 4 minutes in that second quarter. But again, he got into foul trouble. So he had to leave the game. And actually he came back in for this. Look at that beautiful fast break. Josh Hart. Nice. And I think he got the and 1. We got Towns on Nembhard. Look at Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam was a demon in that second quarter. He came through with 14 points, 5 of 8, 3 of 3 from the free throw line. And they needed it because Towns, they needed an answer for Towns because Towns just went off. 15 points for him. He finished with 24 points at the half. He had 15 of those in the second quarter. Shot 5 of 7. Played the entire second quarter. Which you think back at the Towns that we saw against Boston, who looked hurt. He looked kind of tired. He looked kind of out of it. A half step slow. Not at all tonight. Now, Miles Turner didn't play. So maybe Towns felt a little more freedom out there to just do what he wanted to do. But Thomas Bryant, who got the start, he delivered a very decent performance. He provided 7 points himself in that second quarter. But he just doesn't have the size and the ability to deal with Towns, even though he did score on Towns a few times. There we go. Oh, McCall bit on that. There's TJ coming through. Little spin, fall away. Campaign had a nice little game, even though can't tell by those highlights right there. Look at that pass from McCall to Josh Hart. I want to see more of that from McCall. There's Thomas connecting Bryant right there. So the third quarter was an interesting quarter as well. The whole game was pretty interesting because they kept it tight. They kept it tight. So the Knicks did finish up 10 by the end of the third quarter, but it was not a comfortable 10-point lead. It felt like maybe, one of these pesky Pacers would just catch fire, Nembhard or Mathurin, who was playing well. Who knows? Halliburton could go off and hit 4 or 5 3-pointers in a quarter alone. So I was a little bit concerned going into that fourth quarter. But what I loved, look at that. This Precious coughing the ball up. It leads to a 3-pointer. Yeah, late closeout there. Yeah, the Knicks allowed the Pacers to. Look at that cat getting down there. Allowed them to get within 4 points late in that third quarter, or like midway through the third quarter. But then we're able to secure. Look at Landry Shamet hitting that corner 3. Now Campaign with the steal. Nice. Those two were finishing inside the arc very well. They combined between the two of them inside the arc to go, where'd they go? 7 of 13 inside the arc. Those two. But I got to talk about Deuce. Deuce was fantastic tonight. 25 minutes, hit all, like I mentioned before, hit all 4 of his 3-point shots, hit all 3 of his free throws. He had 3 rebounds, only 1 assist, but his defense was outstanding. To finish with 15 points, and he was the high man in plus minus on the Knicks. In his 25 minutes, the Knicks won those minutes by 25 points. That is tremendous play, and we needed it, especially when you consider Brunson couldn't even be on the court because of the foul trouble. And even when he was on the court, he wasn't that effective. This was I think this was the lowest scoring game of the season for Brunson. 8 points for him in total. Was 4 of 11 in his 23 minutes of play. There, see, that's a nice cut. Oh, beautiful little up and under for Landry Shamet. And that was it. New York Knicks took care of business. Loved it. Let's get it to the stats here. You can see it for yourselves. I was just rattling them off. Well, before we get to this, let's get back to this. You can see the chart. What I like about this, the fast break points, the Knicks against the Pacers, who they are a high-paced team, were able to out fast break them tonight. 20-18. Second chance points, as I mentioned before, 19-6. Beautiful, a plus 13, but the points in the paint, the Knicks dominated that, 68-58. 68 is a lot of points in the paint, which they needed because, once again, the Knicks, even though they shot well from the three-point line tonight, they did not take enough three-pointers. They only took 27 three-pointers. They connected on 37%. They hit 10. We need 7 more, at least 7 more. I would prefer 10 more three-point attempts. Now, that's got to come from Mikal Bridges. He only took 1 3-point shot last night. Towns, he took 8. He was the high volume guy. Payne took 4. Landry Shamet took 4. But Brunson only took 1 as well. Josh Hart took 3. So we need guys to make a concerted effort to hunt for threes, especially Towns, because he can shoot over anybody. And it looks like his hand is starting to feel it's not bothering him as much because it was affecting his long range shooting. Self-admittedly, he said. And look, in a game where the 3-point shot is crucial to winning, and especially at the highest levels, when you traded away your long-range sniper, Dante DiVincenzo, who also, I mean, he was taking 28-footers, so he was stretching that defense even further, and at a high volume, and he was connecting at an amazing, my God, for us, amazing percentage. We're missing that. So other guys have to step up and fill that void. Now, nobody on the team has that kind of range that Dante has, but Towns can definitely bury it. He can shoot over anybody, and he's comparable range, but he doesn't need to step out that far back to take those 3-point shots. But he needs to make it effort. I like that he took 8 3-pointers. If he could just average around 8 3-pointers, 8 or 9 3-pointers every game, and then Brunson comes in with his 8. Mikal, I think he averages around 9 as well, so this was uncharacteristic for him. And then when OG returns, that offense is going to be clicking again. But look at last night. 128 points. Now, the Pacers aren't a great defense, so you can't really hang your hat too much on that. But the Knicks did end up shooting 53.8% right there. Beautiful. 48 rebounds. Love those results. Let's get back to this. All right, so Bridges, mentioned him. 6 points, but did get 5 assists. That was nice to see from him. He's usually not an assist guy. Look at the way the assists were broken out. Every starter had an assist. Even 2 assists for Achua, 5 for Bridges, 5 for Towns, 5 for Hart, and 7 for Brunson in just his 23 minutes of play. So he probably would have had double-digit assists if he had played his regular amount of minutes. And Deuce, 15 points, as I mentioned. Landry Shamet, 11 points. 9 points for Cam Payne in his 24 minutes. The plus-minus tells the other story. And here's the thing about Precious. So he was the only minus starter. In his 33 minutes of play, the Knicks lost by 2 points. Interesting, right? And then you look at Deuce's 25 minutes of play. The Knicks won by 25 points. And Towns, plus 14. Brunson, a plus 10. Even though he struggled, he was a plus 10. Plus 15 for Josh Hart. And a plus 4 for McCallum. Now, Precious, his issues are he's just he's an odd player in this game. Because to be a backup 5, he's too undersized. And he doesn't quite have the handle that you need to be able to get from the perimeter to drive to the hoop through traffic. He doesn't have that quite handle. You can see he coughed up that ball right there. That happens often to him. He's nice around the rim, putbacks, dunks, or if he has a clear open lane or out on the fast break, he's nice that way. The other thing is he doesn't seem to have enough confidence in his three-point shot. He passed up a three-point shot early in the game from the left corner, and it frustrated Hart. You could see because they broke down the whole play, and they ended up with nothing, where he had an open look from there. Because he's really a backup 5 in the body of a wing. So he's really a wing without the skills of a wing. He doesn't have the handle. He doesn't have the shooting. He's not a 3-level finish. He's not a great finisher through traffic. So he's limited in that respect. He's definitely someone who should be coming off the bench to give you that energy off the bench, to give you that rebounding, the easy putback buckets, and plus he'll be competing against players more on his level or below. But when he's against starters, he's playing against superior talent, especially since he's just an out of position person. If he was 2 inches taller, it'd be a whole different story. Or at his size, if he had the handles that that is necessary to be able to be impactful in this game as a wing, then he would be an excellent wing. So it's difficult. It's difficult to deal with that. So luckily, we heard some good news more good news about Mitch. Mitch was interviewed by Stephen Bondi. Actually, he did not just Stephen Bondi, but all three of the major reporters there. And the net result was, when he was young, he came back too early from injuries, and then it resulted in further injuries. He's waiting. He's now matured. He wants to come back when he's 100%, and he's feeling like he's going to be, and it's going to happen soon. That is a great, great sign for this Knicks. Because I'll tell you, man, I don't get this concept where people don't believe that Mitch can have an impact, enough of an impact on this current team, all healthy, to get them to the point where they can compete with Boston. I don't worry about Cleveland, seriously. I know it sounds terrible to say that, considering they are the best team in the East. But against Cleveland, with Mitch destroyed Cleveland. He completely disrupted them, and he will do it again. That was 2 years ago in the playoffs, when it matters. Last year in the playoffs, he destroyed the Sixers. He made Embiid look slow and old and foolish and petty, honestly. And he completely disrupted him, and that's why he retaliated. He tried to hurt him. And that's awful, honestly. So this guy, he will definitely have a tremendous impact on this team. And when you think about the rebounding, think about this. So Cat is one of the top 2-3 rebounders in the game right now, right? Mitch is the best offensive rebounder in the game. Cat is one of the best defensive rebounders in the game. That means any ball that clanks off that rim and doesn't drop through that net, we have a tremendous chance of getting that rebound now on both ends of the court. The other excellent thing that can happen here is when Cat is out on the perimeter, Mitch, even though it's going to take away some of the spacing, remember, Cat's not 6'9", trying to shoot over a 6'10" or 6'11" wing who's flying at you. Cat is 7 feet tall, and he can shoot over anybody in the NBA, basically. So he doesn't necessarily need that kind of spacing to be able to be impactful, and he shoots 41% from the three-point line. And then you have Mitch out inside the arc right there, who can pick up the offensive rebounds, and he's good at getting long offensive rebounds as well with those long arms. This is going to be an exciting team in terms of them being able to dominate the boards. And they already have two great rebounders in Hart and Towns. So then you add a third one who is the best in offensive rebounding and then gives you that rim protection. This is going to be and Towns has experience playing with a five like Mitch, which is Rudy. I like this. I'm excited. It helped get them to the Western Conference Finals last year. I think with a healthy OG and Mitch, this could happen here. This could definitely happen here. Now, perfectly frank, I said it before, I'd rather not face the Celtics in the second round, but if we have to, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go. I think even though we got humiliated and embarrassed, fuck it. I don't care. 4 years ago, or was it 5 years ago, we dominated the Hawks during the regular season, beat them 4 times. And then what happened? They gave us a gentleman's sweep in the first round. So what happens in the regular season isn't always indicative of what's going to happen in the playoffs, especially when teams scheme. And sometimes teams come up with some wrinkles that the other team had not expected, and they start exploiting that, and it forces them to adjust and gets them out of their comfort zones. I'm hoping that happens here with the Knicks, and in my opinion, all signs point that can actually really happen. It's very, very possible because of we have some very, very high-end players. To say that the Knicks cannot stack up with the Celtics, honestly, I highly doubt. Look, the scores are the scores. I saw the games myself. But when you go man per man, the Knicks are right there, talent-wise. Drew, Jalen. Okay. McCall and Jalen Brown. Yeah, I give the nod to Jalen Brown. But McCall is not that far behind, especially when you consider the defense he can provide. And when he gets hot from the three-point line, which Brown has been struggling this whole season, that's a very lethal combination. OG and Tatum. Yes, Tatum is playing like a superstar. Absolutely. Absolutely. But OG, we've seen the guy can give you 40 and the guy can shut down the opponent defensively. He's one of the best defenders in the game. And then you have Towns. Who do they have to Towns? Kristaps Porzingis, of course, but he's often hurt as well. I think the Knicks are right there. They can do it. It's unfortunate that they haven't shown it to us yet, and it is frustrating for the fans. But trust me on this. If the Knicks face the Celtics in the playoffs, it's not going to be what we have seen already. I'm looking forward to the next few games in the regular season. I'm not sure if Mitch will be back in time for that, but it looks like he's on the trajectory to be back in time to play the Celtics and the Cavs. So those are going to be exciting games. Cannot wait for that. But this is a work in progress. And Thibs always says, you want to be your best at the end of the season. Well, now we have to see some progress. We have to start seeing some progress against those two elite teams for the rest of the fans to believe in it. For the players themselves, I'm sure the players believe in it themselves no matter what. But I believe that what we have seen against the elite teams from these Knicks so far is not indicative of what we're going to see in the playoffs. All right, thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George. Please hit the thumbs up button for me, subscribe, and share the video. And drop your comments. Definitely want to hear your thoughts and feelings. And I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.